This is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Today we have a reading from chapter 17, Forgiveness and the Holy Relationship, and we're in section 4, the two pictures. God established his relationship with you to make you happy, and nothing you do that does not share his purpose can be real. The purpose God ascribed to anything is its only function. Because of his reason for creating his relationship with you, the function of relationships became forever to make happy and nothing else. To fulfill this function, you relate to your creations as God to his. For nothing God created is apart from happiness, and nothing God created but would extend happiness as its creator did. Whatever does not fulfill this function cannot be real.
Do you have anything to say about happy?
Well, just that the fact that it's like our function, that the function that relationships became because God's relationship with us is to make happy. And so therefore all of our relationships, no matter what it's to, not just people, is to make happy.
Well, let's have a reality check. How happy have you been in your whole life? Throw a percentage on it. Where do you think happy?
I know. Oh, I don't know. Maybe 20%.
You're doing good. I was thinking more like 5 or 10. And I don't feel that bad.
No, I
feel
don't.
pretty good.
I
But in terms of happy, I know.
Yeah, I know.
So God failed.
No, well, I don't know that God failed.
So what happened?
Well, the thing of it is that just because our function is to make happy,
our function isn't. Is it?
The function of relationships is to make happy.
Okay, yeah. The function God made all relationships are to make happy.
Yes.
Now, as I said before, to make happy, it didn't say to make other people happy.
Right.
Or to make anybody happy. That's a trap.
Right.
To make people happy is sort of the core of the special relationship.
Right.
So to make happy, we got to understand what this means, because it doesn't mean to make anybody happy.
Right. No, we can't.
So here we're in those waters
again.
again.
There's no way to make people happy.
Once again.
I mean, you can do nice things that would maybe prompt that, but.
So can we say that happy is being used as a sort of a phenomenon, a product, like to make happy, kind of like I make clay pots. I make happy, not happiness.
Yeah,
but
I'm trying to think, because
it's not an adjective; it's a noun. To make happy.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I haven't. Well, I don't know about that, but one of my thoughts is that there is still even a perceptual shift in perception, where the happy dream becomes a part of it, and that to make happy would mean that I'm willing to have the Holy Spirit still. It's not like I'm just going to come up with it with my own ego, because to make happy is still, even in the perceptual dream, requires some assistance. In other words, I need to see my cup different, the wallpaper different, the room different.
Well,
you
I mean, in
different.
terms of the holy instant.
Right. So to make happy is, to me, is to make an adjustment in my perception so that all my relationships to all things become more happy.
Okay, but we got to get
I
out of
don't-
that. We got to get away
I-
from that quick light fuse and get away because
Okay.
because that is not how we think about making people happy. We make things happy. We make happy
I know.
here.
You remember
by
their
doing
birthdays.
pretty wonderful things. You remember the birthday. You buy the card. You do the chores. You do the
Yes.
list. You got the punch list. That's how we make happy.
Right.
And then when you're all finished with it, that person on the other side goes, "Oh, it's not quite when I, and that
Yeah.
didn't." Okay, well, back to the drawing board.
Right,
How do we
right.
make happy? Just remember, okay, I'm going to do
Okay.
paragraph 2.
Yeah, let's go on.
In this world, it is impossible to create, yet it is possible to make happy. I've said repeatedly that the Holy Spirit would not deprive you of your special relationships, but would transform them. And all that is meant by that is that He will restore to them the function given them by God.
Mm-hmm.
The function you have given them is clearly not to make happy, but the holy relationship shares God's purpose rather than aiming to make a substitute for it. Every special relationship you have made is a substitute for God's will and glorifies yours instead of His because of the illusion that they are different.
So it's speaking of the holy relationship, and it is speaking of having the Holy Spirit work with you in all relationships, because that's just it. There's no to make happy if I'm going to go about it through my ideas of how to make you happy or how to make my friends happy or the world happy or myself happy. Those are all ideas. But in here, the Holy Spirit will not deprive you of your special relationships, but would transform them.
Okay, let's say I have a situation and everybody seems unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, in this world, it is impossible to create.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, create would be, I see nothing but unhappiness around me. I'm going to make it happy. That's like this is how I interpret it. That's like an act of creation.
Yes.
It's not my quarter to take the way things are in the perceived world and shift, as it would say, shift the illusion.
Right.
Shift
And-
the illusion, even though now the Holy Spirit is, though, a source or cachet or however you pronounce that, of the happy dream. So
Yes.
we have the Holy Spirit as a pool of happiness
Right.
that is point for point related to the unhappy illusion.
Right. I'm going to give a very specific
Yes,
example where
great.
a happy relationship happened when all things were sad. And I mean very sad. So we all got attached to a dog. And I think I was around 13 years old and stuff like that. So, I mean, 7 kids, there's a range. And
You
I'm
did
in-
already tell the story
I'm in the
one
middle.
time.
But I know, but this is the thing,
Right.
is that, in my own recognition that the house was so depressed, nobody even wanted to talk to each other. It was overwhelming to me that when I prayed that there was a way that that I don't remember how it went.
The dog died, and
Yeah.
everybody got
Yeah.
there was a huge gap in the family.
Yeah, there was a huge gap.
a huge special relationship with a dog.
Yeah, a huge special relationship with the dog. I mean, we'd had animals before, we never got attached to them. But this one we did. And so the prayer was that, I would just go back to the happy family that I was, relatively happy, not this depressed gloom in the house. And a few days later, the other dog showed up. This dog that would continually dig a hole out. It was nothing like the other dog. I think I actually asked for the spirit.
Some neighbor's dog would escape periodically.
It was a large lab that liked to talk. One of those roar, 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 roar. kind of. You talk to him and he talks back, and it took it was such a funny dog that it took all the gloom out of the family. So, I didn't know about the Holy Spirit or anything else being that age or anything. I did know about prayer and stuff like that. But All I'm saying is that in each instance where you recognize that you're in a room, everything is something or whatever else, it's an opportunity to ask for the Holy Spirit.
No,
ask
okay,
in
but
prayer.
let's go into the dog thing, because you're in a situation, because I've heard the story.
Yes.
You're in the situation. You've got this special relationship with the dog. The family really, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, go
Pardon
ahead.
any judgments. An unbalanced relationship that a dog is taking up a certain amount of relationality between people. The dog is filling in the gaps, becomes a great source of entertainment, and in a sense, an intermediary of people to experience intimacy with each other. It's not okay to experience intimacy with each other, but it's okay to love this dog, and everyone loving the dog. It makes this connectivity.
Right. We also had moved into a new house. Everything was very, very new and different, and so there's.
So when the dog gets killed,
yes.
it gets run over by a car. The family is now forced into a relationship with each other.
Yeah.
There's forced, and it is sad, 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 because it's undeveloped. Now, you recognize this oppressive pall that falls over the family. You say a prayer. Okay, this is where the question comes in. The Holy Spirit, I'm going to say the Holy Spirit delivers a happy dream, a healing story, because the relationship with this dog lasted how long? Because it wasn't yours.
It was weeks. It kept getting. The guy goes, "I'm sorry," and pretty soon, I mean, we just.
I know, but at some point that
Yes.
relationship ended.
It ended. Yeah, it ended probably a month and a half later.
Okay, so the dog died. There's this permanent pall. The family's unable to adjust. Now it's given an interim.
Yes.
It's given, this is your opportunity. Now the question I would have is, did the family, because of the Christ self within each one, recognize, oh, I've been given a moment of grace, so it's time for us to heal this family
I
thing.
might have been the only one who knew the moment of grace.
Christ is in every single person.
I know. I don't know if they did.
Okay,
or
no,
not.
no.
Okay,
The
yes.
Christ is in every single person.
Okay.
And that's why a temporary 1 month, they didn't say, oh, now the dog's gone, let's go back to being depressed. They did not.
No.
Okay.
It was over.
So did the dog heal them? No, the dog did not heal them. The Christ spark in them healed themselves, recognizing a moment of grace.
Yes.
I would say the whole family.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
Wordlessly
Yes.
recognized
Yes, I
a
agree with that.
miracle of grace. And that was like, wake up and get over it.
Right. Yes.
That's what it seems like.
I agree. I agree with that.
So that's the way kindness works. That's the way making happy works.
Right.
It works in the illusory realm. It doesn't work in the permanent realm. You can't create here.
Right.
But you didn't make that dog. You didn't go out and buy a dog. You didn't go out and find a dog. You didn't, the
No,
dog
no, no.
found you.
The dog found us. It was like some angel took it over and landed
Exactly.
in our yard.
Okay, well, that's a good one.
Yeah. You have made very real relationships even in this world, yet you do not recognize them because you have raised their substitutes to such predominance that when truth calls to you, as it does constantly, you answer with a substitute. Every special relationship you have made has as its fundamental purpose the aim of occupying your mind so completely that you will not hear the call of truth.
You have made very real relationships, even in the illusion here, yet
Yes.
you do not, I don't recognize them because I've created substitutes, and we covered the shadow thing, and I've been thinking about the shadow thing, and we have so many different devices for obscuring
Yes.
what the true relationship is.
Right.
And a special relationship, just to understand, the special relationship is like a flashlight. It's like, imagine you're in a room full of people and you have a flashlight and it shows on this face or this face or this situation or that. And that's all you see and that's all you get and that's all you care about.
Right.
That's the special relationship. The Holy Spirit and the happy dream and all that is a floodlight. Everyone is illuminated all at once. No one gets special lighting, so to speak.
Right.
And yet, that's how we focus. Just I apologize. That's how the eye works.
Yeah.
That's how the human eye works. It has a 5-degree focal plane. In other words, it looks like you're seeing it looks like I'm seeing like
Right.
160 degrees or something like that. But in fact, what I'm seeing is 5 degrees and stitching it together mentally. And that's the way this place is put together. You're only allowed 5 degrees out of that possible 360.
Yeah. So some of the things I get stuck on here is that you recognize them. So first of all, it says you've made very real relationships. So I assume by the prior paragraphs, a real relationship is that there is something in it that makes happy and that love is transpiring. But you don't recognize them because you have raised their substitutes, as you said, the shadows, the moods that come over us in a relationship to another where it doesn't meet our expectations.
Let me use it.
Way.
This pops into my head immediately.
Okay.
I developed a absolute fixation on basketball when I was in the 5th grade, and I started playing constantly. Now, was that relationship a special relationship in terms of, being an obscuration of my relationship with God, other than what God would want? Well, yeah, absolutely. I used basketball to create false goals or to pit myself against others or against myself. I used it for very unhappy goals. However, the basketball was given to me, much as that dog was given to your family. Basketball was given to me to realize some things, some truths about myself, about others, about teams, about groups, about the temporary nature of things, about setting goals, achieving goals. I was given all these, and they functioned. Okay, I learned those things. That was the real relationship within basketball. But I covered it up with how I'm going to get back at this coach or whether I'm going to be a pro basketball player. Or, I have all these stories that I laid on the top of it. I'm going to say that we do that with everything. As an example, I get together with you. You come into my life in a certain way, and I go, wow, I didn't, expect that or this person or after the other stuff. I wasn't looking for a relationship, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, once in the relationship, like with basketball, there is a tendency to start laying special issues on top.
Yes.
Take those shadows and heap them on you. Look for cues, to find my familiar place in the illusion, which is to defend the illusion, using the shadows and whatnot. That's not why you're here, and that's not the work that's being done with you and I. But every time there is, I came up with this thing because we did the thing on shadows. I say that that shadows are at work. This is me just saying a truism. I know that shadows are at work and not the real thing when I enter into a dark mood, when I enter into, or even a bright mood or a happy goofball mood, And when I'm dominated by a mood, I'm no longer in touch with reality. And that there are shadows mediating between me and the real deal.
Right. And I'm glad you said also, sort of a goofy because we cover up a lot of our insecurities and things like that by just either joking or, kind of doing this little thing on the side and everything else. And it's still a mood, usually based on insecurities, like I said, and things like that. Almost all of our moods are that, well, I didn't do that right, or that person didn't do that right, and I don't know if I can rely on them. I don't know if I can rely on me. Whatever, there's all these things that come up. So every special relationship you have made has as its fundamental purpose the aim of occupying your mind so completely that you will not hear the call of truth.
So I can have a relationship with basketball for decades. I can have a relationship with you for decades. And continue that puja, that offering, that worship service on the altar of false idols, creating shadows, allowing shadows to mediate the acolytes of my nightmare to come in and minister to me continuously in a dark mass, in a sense, when in fact it was a gift from the Holy Spirit. Meeting you is a gift, as every relationship. Every relationship. Everyone, that's what it's saying, is a gift from the Holy Spirit. It's just a matter of how fast and how thoroughly and how consistently do we cover it up with that shadow world.
Yeah.
So should I read 4?
Yeah, go ahead.
In a sense, The special relationship was the ego's answer to the creation of the Holy Spirit, who was God's answer to the separation. For although the ego did not understand what had been created, it was aware of threat. The whole defense system the ego evolved to protect the separation from the Holy Spirit was in response to the gift with which God blessed it, and by his blessing enabled it to be healed. This blessing holds within itself the truth about everything, and the truth is that the Holy Spirit is in close relationship with you, because in him is your relationship with God restored to you. The relationship with him has never been broken, because the Holy Spirit has not been separate from anyone since the separation. And through him have all your holy relationships been carefully preserved to serve God's purpose for you. Do you understand that all of my relationships with all of these people in all of these circumstances, and I can sit back and use, in a sense, the Course in Miracles and say, get out my Tommy gun, and shoot down all of my special relationships and see how flawed my whole life has been. Mm-hmm. That's a ploy of the ego. That's totally the diabolical plot of the ego, because every relationship with every single thing has been created in the mind of God. And that just because the ego makes it a point to shoot that stuff down, cover it up with shadows, misinterpret, overlay, the challenge again and again is not to do anything new. It's to get rid of those veils, those obscurations.
Okay. And how do you do that? You let down your judgments upon what you think is there. If I have judgments about you, I have to say, why? Wait, what are those judgments really about? And oftentimes you find that you have very similar judgments about yourself. Is what I find.
But we focus on people. Like, it's obvious. Like, gee, Joanna, do we have a special relationship or do we have a healed and holy relationship? And you go, well, of course it's healed and holy because we're doing the Course in Miracles. We all know that doesn't work that way. I wish it did. Then you could just wear this book on your head all the time and you'd have nothing but holy relationships.
Some days feels holy, some days not.
Well, the fact is, the day to day, for the most part, is nothing but a string of shadows and special relationships. Right. Mm-hmm. For the most part. It doesn't remove the fact that the Holy Spirit, as it just said in this paragraph, that God did and keeps these holy relationships preserved in the mind of God. So your real purpose to make happy in my life, my real purpose to make happy in your life is unassailable. It can't be changed. Mm-hmm. I have to find it in partnership with the Holy Spirit. Yes. I have to find out where that's coming from. But it doesn't just cover relationships with human beings. It's like I told a story about falling off the bicycle. It's a relationship with the pavement. Yeah, I hit the pavement. There's a holy relationship there, preserved in the mind of God, that's up to me to discover. Now, if I want to hold on to it and say, "Cursed be thou pavement that took out my teeth," or whatever, that's my decision to curse the world. Right. Or to see blessed flaw. And I go to the place where the Holy Spirit is and see the blessed flaw that enabled me to come to Jesus, come to God moment. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Almost every, what we would call a disaster in our lives is usually a moment of realizing that there is something else beyond this. Whether it's a health issue, a relationship issue, a work issue.
As soon as I feel those specters, those wraiths, the shadowy world start to enclose a situation, a relationship. Oh my God, look at the piercings or the tattoo that this kid came up with, or look at this disease assessment from this doctor, or look at this financial problem, whatever. As soon as the shroud comes over me, there needs to sort of be a bit of a red flag and say, you're no longer in contact with the reality God intended for you. I know that, now if the adult in me says, come on, Phil, grow up. Sometimes you just got to take the bad news. Right. Okay, maybe so, maybe not. But I'm just saying, when I have an overlay as such of moods and emotions, typically negative, I'm out of touch with reality, and I'm hopelessly out of touch with reality. I'm down a well. There's nothing I can do to dig my way out. I can't analyze past my veils and obscurations. It's like, what is it? It's a red flag. Help me out.
Yes.
Help me out.
Right.
Help me out. It's
Those
a hand up.
awarenesses help, end the drama. It actually gets in the hands of God,
Yeah.
the Holy Spirit. Okay. The ego is always alert to threat. And the part of your mind into which the ego was accepted is very anxious to preserve its reason as it sees it. It does not realize that it is totally insane. And you must realize just what this means if you would be restored to sanity. The insane protect their thought systems, but they do so insanely. And all their defenses are as insane as what they are supposed to protect. The separation has nothing in it, no part, no reason, and no attribute that is not insane. And its, quote, protection is part of it, as insane as the whole. The special relationship, which is its chief defense, must therefore be insane.
Insanity is this. I fall off the bicycle, and somebody says, read 'em and weep, grow up, smell the coffee, you knocked your teeth out, bad street, do better next time. It's an error, it's a problem, get on with it. If you go deeply enough into self-accusation and the recovery from your stupidity, okay, I was stupid, he was stupid, somebody was stupid, the street was too hard, the bicycle was something. There's something wrong. If I can just dive deeply into fixing those errors in that relationship, I will be happy. That's the insanity it's talking about.
Yes.
You can't fix it. The quote-unquote adult mindset
Right.
is our addiction
To fixing.
whether
I
it's
agree.
whether it's economics, relationships, the stuff you did wrong, your health.
Yeah.
It's always to dig in, get smart,
Yeah, get
get
smart.
happy. Dig in, get smart, get happy.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah,
It doesn't
insane.
work that way.
Right. I know.
Does it?
No, I agree. I mean, it could be a new religion. It could be a new political scape. It could be whatever. And we think that that'll make me happy. If only my finances were better, that would make me happy. If only my health was better, that would make me happy. And none of those things are actually what make happy. It's a shift in the perception based on a partnership with the Holy Spirit.
You know what's interesting? You said it's a shift in perception
Yes.
and a partnership with the Holy Spirit. Follow that closely. That makes me happy. A shift in perception with the Holy Spirit and a partnership with the Holy Spirit that makes me happy. That's in a weird and insane, very limited and pitiful way is what I do when I change insurance agents. I've shifted perspective. I've gone from American Family over to
That one
state.
didn't work.
I've gone from American Family's not working out for me. You know what? They didn't cover that hail damage on my car. I'm going to shift over to State Farm, and I feel happy because I made this movement.
Right.
And
we feel very right about
and I said,
those
see,
movements.
look, mission accomplished. The
Yes.
adult state of mind, my rates went down, and I'm getting better coverage. Now, next time, fender gets knocked off your car, you hit a deer in the night or whatever, and you knock off the front right of your car. Well, they don't cover deer damage, and then you go, change, go to Prudential or whatever. So what I'm saying is we shift perspective with a new relationship. We shift perspective with a new partnership, and we do it constantly, continuously in shifting partners, shifting institutions, shifting our occupations. And they're all small, not even half-baked, raw, pitiful models of the partnership with the Holy Spirit who has total access to the mind of God.
Yes, I agree.
And yet we would deprive ourselves of that because, come on, give it a shot. You should try shifting your little perspective at least 12 times before you call on God.
Yeah, well, right. Or, work with whatever, changing the relationship. This relationship doesn't work, the special relationship, whichever which one. I mean, so many families are divided right now. It's just like, forget mom and dad, forget it. We're on a different level of understanding. I'm not talking to him anymore, whatever it is. And all of those things that we think will make us happy by, shoving the relationship aside are never really the truth. Now, you may experience some relief. I'm not saying, people don't experience relief.
No, there are geographic solutions.
But the thing of it is that wherever
love canal.
Yeah.
You don't want to live on a chemical dump.
Right. Absolutely. And, wherever you go, there you are. The thing of it is that we make those changes, and then the new change seems like it's minus all of that other stuff, the other baggage that seems to be there. And then somehow it shows up in different ways. It shows up in maybe not in my relationship with you, but my relationship with someone at church or someone at, somewhere else.
The shadow, the unhealed relationship, if we allow that to have life.
Yeah, it will show up.
It figures out how to pull itself together and show up again.
Yeah, because, I didn't really heal anything. You just end up moving it to someplace else and it shows up again.
Yeah, it's like fixing your water leak by catching the water, with a bucket.
Yeah.
You just say, there it is, leaking over there.
I think
that's it.
I think that's pretty good. Let's go on.
Paragraph 6. You have but little difficulty now in realizing that the thought system the special relationship protects is but a system of delusions. You recognize, at least in general terms, that the ego is insane. Yet the special relationship still seems to you somehow to be different. Yet we have looked at it far closer than we have at many other aspects of the ego's thought system that you have been more willing to let go. While this one remains, you will not let the others go. For this one is not different. Retain this one, and you have retained the whole. The special relationship feels so good and so sweet and such a silver bullet to your unhappiness,
Yeah. Even when it makes you unhappy. I mean, it's kind of interesting. The special relationship can be sort of an unhappy happiness where I get to be right, let's say. I get to be right all the time because, I have a weak partner or a weak boss or whatever. And so I get to write myself off and go, wow, look at me, or whatever. It's still a special relationship and it's still not have the Holy Spirit working in it because, wherever there's something where there's somebody else gains and the other one else loses, that's usually the way these special relationships works.
Just what you were talking about. Let's say I'm in a relationship with somebody, and I feel like they're wailing on me. That I'm taking the brunt of something, and then I have this enlightened moment, and I go, "Oh, I see. It's sort of my lot in life." So that's one way to look at it. And then suddenly I feel like shift in perspective, new relationship with my wounded self, the victim self. And now I've got a special relationship with the victim self instead of with a person who abuses me.
Right.
And it feels like a healing in a sense, but I'm still miserable, but it's just like it's a misery based on this newfound superpower of being a victim, no matter what. Yeah. Or I'm in a relationship to another person, and I have this enlightened moment, and I decide, this means it's time for me to become empowered. I'm to become empowered as a person. The heck with them. I'm going to do this Wayne Dyer program, and I'm going to go do this thing, and I come out of it, or Tony Robbins. And now I'm a thing of power. Now I'm a thing that has risen above. And now I've got another relationship with a special self, another shadow, a fabrication of myself as a super being instead of a super victim.
Right.
But this is the way I have... Am I alone in this?
No,
I have done this throughout my whole life, assuming that is the technology, technique, methodology to get happy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay. On paragraph 7. It is essential to realize that all defenses do what they would defend. The underlying basis for their effectiveness is that they offer what they defend. What they defend is placed in them for safekeeping, and as they operate, they bring it to you. Every defense operates by giving gifts, and the gift is always a miniature of the thought system the defense protects. Set in a golden frame, the frame is very elaborate, all set with jewels and deeply carved and polished. Its purpose is to be of value in itself. and to divert your attention from what it encloses. But the frame without the picture you cannot have. Defenses operate to make you think you can.
Just a quick observation. I want to hear what you have to say. But a quick observation is that I've been talking about shadows, and what is protected is some sort of a wound or something like that, and these shadows come in there to hold it in place. I recognize as you read that there is a relationship between shadow and content. Shadow, not shadow and shadow and true content of the situation. Where I develop, let's say, aggressive shadows or temper tantrum shadows or grandiose shadows or lazy shadows or whatever it is to cope with a sense of inferiority at, let's say, fixing stuff or a sense of inferiority at working in the physical world. Okay, so that's a relationship between the true content, which is a sense of inadequacy, and then this other thing that I build around it, which might be, home improvement, where I've got every piece of equipment known to man. And it's all, that's the frame around what in the middle is a sense of inadequacy. That's possible. I'm trying to paint a picture.
Okay.
Now, that is what it's saying about these, this essentially realize that all defenses. So I defend.
I would say that the frame includes all of what you said. In other words, they become our cherished objects, and we start to create a bauble about either my victimhood or my...
But they don't protect anything enlightened. They protect a very sick little thing.
Yeah, but the whole idea, if I recall this section from the past or whatever, is that we'll go on, but the frame is very elaborate, all set with jewels and deeply carved and polished, because the focus becomes on my jewels and my polished idea of myself, which includes all my flaws and all my grandiosity. It's all there. It's all put in the frame like this. So I can't see the truth in the middle. The truth is there. I can't see it. What I see is the frame. If I recall, this is going to go that the truth is inside, and you have to remove the frame. But, so...
I don't know. I think I think that really, we'll see when we go on.
Okay.
But my understanding of it is that I have a pitiful and wounded sense of self that I consider my personal truth. I evolve grandiose schemes and devices to protect it, and that's the frame. The frame is the grandiosity around something that is in the middle, a pitiful truth about myself, and it's not true.
Okay.
So that if I take the frame, and the purpose of the frame with jewels and whatnot is to attract me and say, look at how beautiful. But the Course says, no, you get the contents of that picture. You get the pitiful middle of that picture. You can't have that beautiful, incredible frame of muscles and health drinks and the girls in the car. You're going to get that pitiful middle with it. You get it all.
Okay. Well,
because it says, what's the name of this chapter? The two pictures, not
pictures.
the two frames.
Oh, yeah, the two pictures. Okay. All right. He's probably right. Okay. And, okay, so the frame is very elaborate, all set with jewels and deeply carved and polished. Its purpose is to be of value in itself. So now we're just talking about the frame, though.
Right.
And to divert your attention from what it encloses. But the frame, without the picture, you cannot have. Defenses operate to make you think you can.
Yeah, defenses operate. In other words, the frame is set up so that, and I've been in the secondhand store and seen some great frames with lousy pictures, and I go, we don't need the picture, but the frame's great.
Yes.
So and we buy it.
Yes.
Now we can trade that out, and the Course is saying, no, you're not going to be able to trade out the guts of that picture.
Right.
You get the picture. And that elaborate frame, think about it. It's a carny act. You go to the fair, and the guy gives you an amazing song and dance routine to sell you snake oil. He's tap dancing and puppet dancing, and he's got smooth tongue, whether it's a car with sawdust in the transmission, or it's a fake stuffed animal at the fair, or it's a fake medical procedure. You get the big song and dance, and you can bet that the more elaborate that song and dance is, the more horrible the contents.
There's a line in here where it says, every defense operates by giving gifts, and the gift is always a miniature of the thought system the defense protects, set in a golden frame. So I just wanted to discuss some of our, I guess, our defenses, but I guess maybe you really did in all of the things that you were talking about, as far as claiming our victimhood or becoming grandiose about different things and things like that. Those are defenses, correct?
Yeah, well, and all of this, we're talking about two pictures.
Right.
And as you know, the two pictures, spoiler alert, one is the elaborate frame and the toxic center.
Right.
The other picture is a very simple frame that almost disappears because it's unbounded.
Right.
And it's all content. It's just content.
Right. Okay,
And the center is the mind of God, the Holy Spirit, the happy dream, and the other is a toxic piece of material that is sold to you on the basis of that elaborate frame. So what's an elaborate frame? Elaborate frame is anything: the beautiful house, the beautiful yard, the beautiful body, the beautiful relationship, all of the on and on and on, the peaceful life, the spiritual guru, the trips to India, all of those things can be a frame around what? The thing is, if you accept the frame, in other words, if I feel like, let's say, I feel like a weak person, I need to build myself up. I read about Teddy Roosevelt, and I need to get outside and go, And so now I start to get out there. Become robust. I'm collecting mountains. I can sleep on the bare ground in 10-degree weather. It's like I've become this sort of like this strapping thing.
Right.
That is a frame that was developed around a sense of inadequacy or a sense of vulnerability or a sense of fear against the world. And I've built myself up and built myself up. So if I believe that framing, it's fine to be Teddy Roosevelt, and being president and stuff like that. But if I accept the reality of that and I say, well, I can see that I've succeeded and I have beaten back the demons because I can now sleep on the ground in 10-degree weather. If I believe my story, then I'm accepting that frame. And if I accept that frame, I'm accepting that weakness at the center. In other words, I have to hold the frame lightly.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I agree.
It's okay to have an elaborate frame, but realize the elaborate frame could be hiding something.
Yeah, it most likely is.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go on.
Paragraph 8. The special relationship has the most imposing and deceptive frame of all the defenses the ego uses. Its thought system is offered here, surrounded by a frame so heavy, so elaborate, that the picture is almost obliterated by its imposing structure. Into the frame are woven all sorts of fanciful and fragmented illusions of love, set with dreams of sacrifice and self-aggrandizement, and interlaced with gilded threads of self-destruction. The glitter of blood shines like rubies, and the tears are faceted like diamonds and gleam in the dim light in which the offering is made.
Yeah, so that's what I remembered about that. It was that all those feelings that I have, I've now created as a sort of a, let's say I'm extremely jealous or something of my spouse or some other person or something. That becomes an aspect of self that I actually put in the frame, and it's not necessarily, let's say, woven, interlaced, and aggrandizement, set with dreams of sacrifice and self-aggrandizement, interlaced with gilded threads of self-destruction. So I don't know that. Anyway, we're gonna look at it some more, but those are pretty descriptive words. All sorts of fanciful and fragmented illusions of love.
What do you think? Just for kicks, do you have a thought in your own life?
Of sacrifice.
In your own life, let's hear framing, content.
Oh yeah.
What do you think? Which one? What part? What do you think? Just shoot from the hip.
As far as an aspect of my life where I
yeah,
put those
something
things?
That feels real. Where does this feel real to you in your own self-description, self-understanding?
Well, in the beginning, as far as like special relationships, the guy who I was engaged to and then it didn't happen was totally set in that frame. First of all, you find out after a while that maybe I didn't know that person at all. But I had ideas about my relationship with him, where we were going to go, family and all kinds of stuff that was all
Yeah, all the golden threads.
fanciful in my mind.
What was it hiding? What was it hiding?
Um,
Why was that elaborate frame? The gilded threads, the rubies, the diamonds. What was it? What was that all about? What was it? What was the picture?
what was the picture? I'm not really sure. I think the picture was.
It says, the defenses will always offer a small miniature of what the real deal is. So what did all of that fancifulness deliver as an indication of what the picture was, which you don't want to know what the picture was.
You probably can tell me easier than I can tell myself.
I'm not going to get into it.
I mean, I would say that, ideas of family and security and all that kind of stuff were kind of more like the content in the middle that I thought I was going to have out of all of this. And a level of insecurity that I could ever do any of that on my own,
I'm going to say, just to go cut to the chase on it, I would say that it's probably an absolute sense of mortal fear of your own insecurity and your vulnerability in the world.
Yeah, I would say so.
And that's the center picture.
Yes, I would say so.
And so that, the guy and the relationship and the house and all this is, how are we going to defend? That's the defense against that little picture. So that when you accept all those scenes, what happens is the reason it was so devastating when the wedding is canceled, it's so devastating because what are you left with? Like the dog dying, what are you left with? I'm
left with the sense that I'm really vulnerable. Yeah, I'm very
mortal fear of death and destruction and exposure to something.
Yes, I would agree.
So that's kind of really kind of an easy one.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's easy to see how those were.
Yeah, it affected me for a long time stuff. So I agree.
Okay, where are we?
We're on paragraph 9.
Okay.
Look at the picture. Do not let the frame distract you. This gift is given you for your damnation, and if you take it, you will believe that you are damned. You cannot have the frame without the picture. What you value is the frame, for there you see no conflict. Yet the frame is only the wrapping for the gift of conflict. The frame is not the gift. Be not deceived by the most superficial aspects of this thought system, for these aspects enclose the whole complete in every aspect. Death lies in this glittering gift. Let not your gaze dwell on the hypnotic gleaming of the frame. Look at the picture and realize that death is offered you. Well, yeah. In that last example, I would say that's exactly what I felt. Felt like death.
Okay, but listen, what's great about you, and I mean this, is that you're available to that revelation. It's not everyone is. Some people's defenses are so meticulously crafted. To be honest with you, yours are not. They are not meticulously crafted because you're not really interested. Ironically, it seems like you have a personality character. I don't want to get into analyzing you, but the fact that it's such an easy one to identify is some part of you that is available to inspection, for yourself and others. Right. There is a kind of an openness. There's a certain amount of transparency. And whereas in my own life, it's very difficult for me to find the painful places. I really have a hard time. You can nail them. You've got several on the tip of your tongue.
Well, it's not like I didn't do some work back then. I did about those things, and I did have to look at it.
Well, I've done a ton of work.
Yeah.
I still can't sit here and say, well, that was I bumped up against a wall there or there or there or there. I don't have that available to me, and I'd say that I have a more studied and sophisticated construction.
A defense. Yeah.
This is about the halfway point of the chapter called Forgiveness and the Holy Relationship, section 4, the two pictures, where we examine the picture presented by the ego with the huge, gaudy frame and the frightening, nightmarish content within the frame, and then the Holy Spirit, which is reality with a very light framing So we go into this more and try to anchor this in our life experiences so that it has more meaning and it stands as something beyond a metaphor. So tune into part 2, where we get into more of this section, which is, I think, important and challenging and extremely interesting on how it manifests in a person's life. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.